successful game. I'll be the boss, the king, and I'll take all the fame.
Good afternoon, my friendly acquaintances. I am George Bruno, and welcome to Fire Your Boss. I am with my illustrious co-hosts, Frank Aaron and Dan T-Bone Jones, also known as Jonesy, the people that you've come to love. Gentlemen, say hello.
Hey, hey.
Hello there, and I'm going to say good morning just in case somebody listens to this in the morning after it drops. You got to cover all angles, all times of the day.
Cover all the angles.
In evergreen podcasts.
Fine.
I love it.
I'll say good afternoon to everybody who's watching in the afternoon. So there.
Well, it reminds me of the Truman Show. Remember when he comes out of the house and says, good morning, good afternoon, and no, in case I don't see you, good evening.
Absolutely.
That actually was a great show. That actually was. Oh, man, I got to watch that again because I do think there is a slight chance we're living in a simulation, but we won't go there today. All right. Today we're talking about this incredible way of growing a business that anyone can do, and that is through joint ventures. I've known about joint ventures for 40 years, but there's somebody that we all know that has been an expert in joint ventures, and that was our friend Ken MacArthur. And Ken, I subscribed to Ken's email. Probably, I remember sitting in my office when I was married over 20 years ago and getting Ken MacArthur emails. That's how far back I go. And the JV, is that what it was called? JV Alert or something to that effect?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's what we're talking about today. JVs, joint ventures. So just for the audience, during the broadcast, I'm going to be calling joint ventures JVs. A JV is when 2, 3, or 4 people get together and do a joint venture. Imagine that. Come together and cooperate and collaborate to create something. If 3 people come together, there is a 4th entity that happens, and that's the product that the 3 people create. Everybody benefits from a joint venture individually and collectively. But we're going to talk to Jonesy first. Sir, tell me, what is your perception and what do you know about joint ventures, your experiences, and educate the audience of how easy a joint venture can happen and what the upside of it is.
Great questions. So if I had to label myself with yet another moniker, it would be the JV junkie, because in the past 18 months or so, I've joined and created at least 6 or 7 entities or projects which could be considered a JV, joint venture. Interesting that we use the initials JV, because this is not junior varsity level stuff. This is varsity. This is collegiate level. This is top elite talent entrepreneurs coming together to create something more. So, in business school with my laurels of the associate's degree, I got well into my adulthood. I learned that a joint venture is, according to at least some states, a legal entity. So like a partnership between 2 or more parties, combining their resources to create a specific mission, objective, or a new product to serve that objective. So it's, it boils down to the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, because I can bring my resources and experience, whatever those resources are, be it a building, be it capital, be it skills, whatever I'm bringing to the table. Frank brings something to the table. George brings something to the table. And without having to grow our individual enterprises, we leverage all that to create something completely new and different that when done correctly, it becomes profitable. The key is that it needs to be strategic and done correctly, because yes, in theory, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. But, we know that there's been joint ventures that have failed. Daimler Chrysler, Disney Pixar. There's some that did not stand the test of time.
I think about isn't Mercedes and Dodge together in some kind of?
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
I don't think they are anymore. I think that was
Really?
Daimler Chrysler.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dodge, despite Frank and I being Mopar or no car type of fellows over here with our Dodges,
Woo, woo.
that doesn't mean that they're good business people. And
Right.
that's a recurring fact that we talk about on FYB, that
Hmm.
you talk about, George, that we talk about in conversion chemistry, is that being good at a skill or having a good product does not make you good at business. It's learned. It's learned, and it's trial and error and experienced and all these things. That's an example of probably trying to do too much with way too many inputs and target markets. You got Dodge, which is consumer level and to a degree performance, and Mercedes, which is luxury. And those are two different markets. And I don't know the in and outs of that whole JV. All I know is that there was Fiat was involved, and then Daimler Chrysler disbanded, and Fiat may still be a part of it. Plymouth, they axed as a brand, and now it's an entity called Stellantis owns Dodge. It's all I really know about and care about. But case in point, they're not all successful.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, I know near me there is a van center with a Mercedes emblem on it, and I see nothing but Dodge and Mercedes Sprinter vans in the front of it. Everything
Mm-hmm.
from delivery type vehicles to almost like van life kinds of things that are fully
Yeah.
tricked out, look like residences on wheels. And I'm not sure if like they need any special care, but there is a Dodge and Mercedes van center in Conshohocken. I
Mm-hmm.
thought, okay, that's interesting.
And like I said, I should probably just look it up right now to see if they're still combined. But a dealership can have multiple franchises operating under the same rooftop.
Yes.
That they can sell. And there, case in point, is why it didn't make sense to me. Is from the exterior, that Sprinter van, it's the one that you see all the Amazons driving around and delivering stuff. Why
Yeah.
is there a Dodge Sprinter and a Mercedes Sprinter?
Yeah.
It did make sense for Dodge, right? They've got their whole commercial line. Um, but why a Mercedes? Why make a Mercedes cargo van? It doesn't make sense to me. You got the G Wagon, which is 150, $200,000 luxury SUV. That makes sense. Why? Just why? So
Yeah.
there needs to be a why with a joint venture, right?
Sure. Sure. Makes sense to me. Mr. Frank, what are your thoughts about JVs?
Well, two things. Number one, it looks like Chrysler and Mercedes were together from like 1988 till about 2009 when they last relinquished their sale, their shareholdings of Chrysler. Because as a Mopar man, I needed to know that. Let me talk to you about JVs, people. A joint venture is nothing more complicated than as follows. Say me and one or two of my neighbors buy a snow blower, and we say, listen, instead of each of us owning a total of 3 snow blowers, why don't we just split the money 3 ways? And every winter, I'll blow first, you blow second, you blow third. I think we need to do that again, George. I didn't mean to say that.
Nope. I think you're
No,
keeping that. We're
That's
no, we're
what
isolated.
keep it.
keeping that.
All right.
Remember,
That's an isolated clip.
we include comedy in this show. This is the only
Snow,
entrepreneurial show where we can laugh.
fine. I meant snow blow. He's using
Yeah.
JV for the joint venture. I can use blow for blowing snow. All right. But anyway, the point is, why shouldn't each of us spend $2,000 on a snow blower when we can have one, right? Or let's say that, um, I'm an appliance repairman and you're a carpenter, right? Or an electrician or whatever. Why don't I carry your business card to every house I go to? And I say, hey, I'm here to fix your microwave. If you ever need a good carpenter, one of my buddies is a killer carpenter. The guy bangs nails like nobody else, and he cuts and does moldings like Picasso would,
Mhm.
right? Things like that are just so simple. It's like, what assets do you have? What assets do I have? And one, two or more parties. How do we bring those two crazy kids together so everybody makes as much money or more? And more can be more money, like more money, more money, more money. Just look
Mhm.
at us. I went to Ken's not even a year ago. I see this handsome devil across the aisle wearing
Yeah. Jonesy. Yeah.
a tropical shirt with a
Oh,
bunch
go
of
on.
cats on it. I'm like, how can I not work with this guy, right?
That's right.
Oh, is that that is T-Bone down there, isn't it?
These are my actual cats and dog. My wife Bree got this for me. As we're recording this, I am 40 days away from my 40th birthday. It was a surprise gift she got me for the countdown.
Yeah, 40, you old bastard.
Nice.
You'll get no sympathy from this quarter. I'm gonna be 60 in December. And my wife buys me a shirt like that, I'll wear it proudly too. You're rocking that look, right? So anyway, I'm at Ken MacArthur's. And I start over a few months. I hear Jonesy talking. He's marketer, internet marketer. He's making sense, everything he says, right? So one day I go to him, I go, hey, you know, let's talk. I like the way you do things. I think you have some great ideas. I think we could work good together. So we meet at this cool cool hip trendy coffee shop in Lansdale, beautiful downtown Lansdale, Pennsylvania. Right? Meet a few times, talk about what we both want in the business. Boom, we get moving. Now look at us. We got a banner and everything. How about it? Not even a year later. And we're making money. It's the craziest thing. But, I think we complement each other very well. And out of conversion chemistry, then we get to know you, George, again through Ken MacArthur, which
Yes.
shows you the power of a mastermind group is
Yes.
it's just unreal. So now we've got FUB, Fire Your Boss, or FIBE, depending on if you're using correct English or you are in the middle, right? So we have this, and we've got George with his deep, booming, manly radio voice. We've got me with my mirth and frivolity. We've got Jonesy with his wild ass shirt there. And we're coming together now. We're making a JV out of a JV, right? And this is straight to the top, people. We are not playing here. This isn't, I have overhead. Jonesy has overhead. I'm sure George has overhead. None of us, as far as I've heard, were born into royalty or riches. I was raised decidedly blue collar, drove a truck and a tractor trailer for a living for the first 15 years after high school till I found the internet. I can tell you my first couple of JVs, if I may, how they came about. One of them about 1999. Picture it, Sicily, the year 1999, right? Actually, it was Manchester, England, but anyway, whole Golden Girls reference there. I was promoting a program called Easing Tactics from a guy from Grimsby, England, right? He messages me one day. He says, hey, you're my number one reseller. You're my number one affiliate. Would you like to come over here and fly over here and talk business with me? Let's figure out a way to make this thing happen. I get on a plane, fly out of Newark, New Jersey, fly over to Manchester, get on a train 2.5 hours, take the train across England, essentially, which sounds like a lot, but it's really only 2.5 hours. So I get to Grimsby. He picks me up in his SUV. We sit down, we break bread. Out of that came the hypnotic blueprint. Now, you guys wouldn't know that, but that was one of the first membership sites. I won't say on the internet, but it was certainly one of the first paid membership sites online. And we ran that for a little while. And yes, that JV worked. And yes, that JV didn't work. It worked in the beginning, a lot of excitement, a lot of good people. Why didn't it work? Because for $40 a month, people were expecting $4,000 worth of coaching. That's not how life works, ladies and gentlemen. So we just disbanded it. I went into my own coaching. He went into his coaching. Still best friends today. Second JV I did, Terry Dean, one of these internet, like one of the Mac daddies, one of the OGs, right? Him, Marlon Sanders, people like that.
Blast from the past, man. Those are some names that go back.
Yeah, well, they're still around too, Terry and Marlon, and they're still both people I would recommend. But Terry came to me and he said, hey, Frank, again, you're my number one affiliate. I like what you do. Let's make a product together. And that was it's called Instant Internet Streams for Ordinary People. And what we did, he was a little Caesar's pizza driver from Richmond, delivery driver from Richmond, Indiana. I was a truck driver from New Jersey. Come together and make these cassette tapes, George, that we had to process to a fulfillment house.
You're aging yourself by saying cassette tapes.
I also said I'm going to be 60 in December, so
yes.
I might as well live my truth, right? Cassette tapes, right? I remember we decided, should we go to cassette tapes or CDs? Was the market for CDs going to be enough to warrant switching over? And finally we did. And out of that, I made, I I mean, I sold over $1 million worth of products. I made through coaching and speaking at events and running my own events and everything. I guarantee I made $500,000 over the years from that one JV. And Terry sold the resale rights to Nick James over in England, who's another dear friend and a great internet marketer. Evidently, he made $1 million selling our stuff right in the UK. He bought a license from, for the product, a resale, license for the product. Took the letter. It was a great story. I mean, a pizza delivery guy and a truck driver making all this money online.
Former bankrupt truck driver from New
Former
Jersey.
bankrupt, yes, from New Jersey. Who went on to make 6 figures, George. That's me. Thank you. Yes. I mean, it can be done. The average person, as long as you get somebody that doesn't have an ego that's bigger than the both of us, and you get somebody that's willing to work just as much as you are, it can work really well. Now, can it take a month or 3 months or 6 months to really find your sea legs and your true mission? Absolutely. It's what Jonesy and I had a few months worth of discussion, but we didn't wait around forever. We started out a certain way. We put things in motion. Good things happen to people that take chances. Good things happen to people that put things in motion. I mean, that's it. There's no geniuses in this room. We come this close, the 3 of us, right? And that's individual, not combined, by the way. 3 near geniuses like us can do it. Certainly, you guys and gals watching this at home can do it. Because I know if I can do it, anybody can do it.
I feel the same way. If I can do it, anyone can do it. I didn't get my first cell phone till I was 41, my first laptop till I was about 41, 42 years old. So I'm kind of like late to the game. And everything for me happened, everything. I was grinding till I was about 45. And then I started seeing the light. So for some people that are saying, I think I've come to the end, let me tell you something. It didn't start really. I'm kind of like a little version of Colonel Sanders. For me, stuff really didn't start popping for me till I was in my 50s. Really, really popping, where I really felt confident.
I love that Colonel Sanders reference. I actually just talked to a former coworker of mine from the car industry who I think very shortly after I left, he left to start his own business. He's running security detail for celebrities now. Like high-end transport and security detail. Like, okay, did not see that coming, but he's loving it. He's qualified for it. And he made a comment on LinkedIn to the effect of, it's never too late to start that next chapter. And I brought up the Colonel Sanders reference exactly, where it's, he opened the first chicken joint when he was, in his 50s or whatever. Took 9 years to perfect that secret recipe. And then the KFC franchise didn't, become an expansive entity until well into his 60s. Perfect example there.
I love it. One of the things that I love about JVs, joint ventures, is that you don't have to do it on your own. Where you zig, the other person zags. I have skills that you guys don't have. You guys have, skills that I couldn't get anywhere near. So we kind of complement each other. So I think one of the elements of a JV is don't look for people who are exactly like you. Look for people who have complementary skills and complementary backgrounds. I don't know what you guys know. You guys don't know what I know. But together, the 3 of us are creating a 4th entity, and that's Fire Your Boss. The reason why we're doing this, and let's just review for those that are tuning in for the first time to this podcast. The reason why we're doing this is, one of the reasons is, number one, to be able to tell your boss goodbye. You're doing the grind every day, Monday through Friday, whatever, 3 to 11, 9 to 5, overnight shift, whatever. And you fantasize about turning in your 2-week notice, or as Johnny Paycheck used to say, I believe it was Johnny Paycheck, right? Was he the take this job and shove it guy?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to use that language because that's really burning a bridge. And I'm a wall builder. I'm sorry, I'm a bridge builder, not a wall builder. When you say take this job and shove it, you're building a big wall between you and that company. And I like the idea of keeping the door open, building a bridge, because first of all, if you get 100 people from a company in the room, they're all thinking the same thing, but they won't admit it. They all hate working for the man. The only one who doesn't hate working for the man is the man.
The man, yeah.
The man. The joke where a boss pulls up in the Lamborghini And the employee says, wow, that is a nice car. And the boss says, yep, if you come to work every day on time, are dedicated, show some hustle, I'll be able to get another one next year. And that's what we're
Exactly.
doing. Did you ever notice that everyone you work for drives a better car, takes longer vacations, dresses better, lives in a nicer house most of the time? So the reality is, for those that want to leave their work, that's what this podcast is about. But it doesn't necessarily mean leave your job. It might mean create a side hustle. It might mean take a little side gig that you're currently doing and making full-time money and not leaving your job. It might mean actually, let's say you're a process guy and you have a lot of great ideas at work and you really are the embodiment of total quality management and continuous quality improvement. Maybe you can take the principles of Fire Your Boss, of FYB, and apply it. Maybe the FYB principles will help you get a raise. This is not our bosses are not our enemies. We're thankful that we have a job. We're thankful that we have jobs. For those that have jobs, I still have a job. For those that have jobs, I'm thankful that I have the job. But I will someday leave that job. And I also will offer jobs to coworkers that I did not close the door on, that I stayed friendly with, and and I'm aware of everyone else's skill sets. So if I need something in the future in my new gig, I have a pool of people that I can email, that I can call, that I can text. They're already known, proven entities in my life, and say, hey, you know what? I might have a role for you here.
I
And
like that.
and they might listen to you for a few minutes. So fire your boss doesn't always mean take this job and shove it, although it can, but it doesn't always mean that.
Yeah,
That's how I look at it.
There's any number of ways you can take it and apply it. However, it's not meant to be disrespectful. It's not meant to be
Right.
Detrimental,
Right.
or obnoxious. It's putting the power back into you, into the entrepreneur's hands, rather than the boss, as it were. That's it.
That is correct.
There's a lot of people who are not, wouldn't want to be self-employed. So why put yourself in that position? However, having a side hustle or having the ability to do that puts the power back in your hands and reduces the leverage that an employer perceivedly has over you. One of the ways I like to look at it is putting it back into the context of somebody who should be an entrepreneur is, right, the hard work and your boss can get the second Lambo. All right. So I do have a very strong work ethic, but I'm also lazy, if that makes any sense. I like to work really hard to then relax on the back end. Now, in the 2 years since I've been in full entrepreneurship mode and having started 3.5 successful businesses, that's with the same amount of effort I've exerted. Literally the same, possibly even less. I don't know. I don't really quantify it. I know I have more time. My time is more flexible. So the hours are weirder, but that's my choosing. So working the same amount of, with working the same amount of effort, how hard I'm working, 3 businesses instead of trying to placate customers, coworkers, supervisors, owners. Now I'm in a position where I do work for previous employers. It's awesome. So I still get to serve them in the way I was meant to. And others, countless others. That's what this is about for me.
I like that. It's kind of like win-win. It's win-win. When you look at the spin-offs that so many different companies have had, it's amazing. When I listen to some of my favorite business podcasts, all those guys, every single one of them worked for Facebook, they worked for PayPal, they worked for Twitch, and they gained a lot of skills there. They gathered a lot of experience there, and they came together and created something. I look at my favorite podcast is called, my favorite business podcast, other than Fire Your Boss, is called My First Million. It's 2 very successful guys that were proven entities in other fields came together and created what is now one of the most popular business podcasts and YouTube channels that there is. I really love it. Our backstory is I started attending the 1-day intensive mastermind. I met you guys there. We started talking, and I think it was as informal as, hey, we should do something. Something like, we should do something together. We should do a podcast. And like what? What should we do? I don't know. And I was probably speaking out of my personal frustration because I want to fire my boss of a part-time job. And I said, how about something about like leaving your job? You guys have done it. I want to do it. And being able to say goodbye to your job, and just literally, I just plucked it out of thin air. Fire your boss, which has kind of like a little ring to it. When people hear that, they're like, boy, I'd like to do that. It resonates with a lot of people. So we talked about what our roles would be. And the three of us have three very distinct roles. We have three very distinct experiences. And so far, we've done 13 episodes. This is actually episode number 14. So this in and of itself is a great example. We are practicing what we preach. This right here, my friendly audience, what you are listening to is a joint venture with three men with separate skills coming together to create a fourth product that will benefit others.
It's a lot of fun too, whereas work, you don't usually associate fun with work, you know? I mean, let me put it this way. I loved driving tractor trailer, very manly, very, I had my work boots on, my sunglasses, my jeans, and give me a truck and I'm gone, man. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
But my last job was the one that I loved the most because I knew going in that I was leaving within a year or two. And I
Mm-hmm.
stayed 2 years driving tractor trailer 2 or 3 days a week, right? And I could come in and have a good time, work hard, take pride in my work because I knew the next day I was going to be at home building my business. And just that freedom that I had, honestly, you make a case for making me a better employee while I was there because all the BS could roll right off of me. I didn't have to immerse myself in the bullshit of the job. And he said this, and oh, this one's a bootlicker, and that one's that. It didn't matter. Where's my truck? Give me my Mack truck, man. I'm ready to
Mm-hmm.
roll because I
Mm-hmm.
knew I was leaving. Or even if I never left, I knew I had the power to leave anytime I wanted to, right? And I'm going to tell you something. I talked about this the other day. I forget where, but I got my degree. When I graduated high school, I either wanted to be a truck driver or a train engineer, right? Almost went in the Marines. That's a story for another podcast, but
Mm-hmm.
drove a truck. That's what I did. 15 years while I was figuring out what I wanted to do
Mm-hmm.
with my life. Eventually I was like, okay, truck driving is great, but it's only ever going to pay me what, $20 an hour back in 1994 or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, went back to college at night, got my degree in logistics management, graduated head of my class, went to a career counselor in Princeton, New Jersey, paid them $5,000 on a freaking credit card to get me into all the good places. Biggest waste of money ever. I won't name the company. If somehow they're still in business, it's a miracle. But I got ripped off for $5 grand. I got nothing that I couldn't do myself. They did, however, get me interviews with Northwest Airlines, General Motors, Conrail, different things like that, the railroad. Do you know, guys, every last one of those companies has since been merged. The GM plant in Linden, New Jersey is now a bunch of warehouses and a brownfield area. Northwest Airlines got merged into Delta. Conrail got bought by two different other railroads. Even the job that I worked at as a tractor trailer driver, that company, PJAX, got bought out by this other company, Vitran, who got bought out by Central Transport.
Mm-hmm.
My point is, where would I have been if I didn't have something like this, even on the shelf, ready to go, like a fire extinguisher or a car jack if you ever break down? You know, you're a man, you need to be able to provide, and having somebody lay you off or outsource your job to some third world country or whatever, that takes a toll. I think one of the smartest things you can do as a man, look after your physical body, your mental body, and also your financial body, and always have that little side hustle. God forbid, even if you don't want to do it forever, your company lays off. How about coronavirus? How many people were screwed when they're yeah, you got the STEM money. That wasn't enough for a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
How many people went through that? What's going to happen next? What's going to happen in the elections? Who knows? A hustle like this it doesn't have to be on the internet, it can be offline, is something that you may never need, but I'll tell you what, the one time you do, you'll be damn glad you went through the trouble to have it.
Well, you nailed it. There's so many opportunities out there. I just pray that God opens people's eyes to see opportunities. I heard a story of a kid who will hose out your trash cans on trash day. You ever notice like the bottom of your trash can has like this soup in the bottom of it that just smells and attracts flies? This kid will bring your trash cans out to the curb. He will bring them to your backyard, to the corral, to the side of the house. But before he puts them there, he hoses them out, cleans them out, and just sprays a little disinfectant or something in there. And I think he charges like $3. And it's not around here, but I'll tell you what, if the kid lived in my neighborhood, are you kidding me? $12 a month to take my trash, kid's like 12 years old, take my trash out to the curb, bring it back and hose it out. There's an opportunity right there. So opportunities are everywhere. My friendly acquaintances, they are everywhere. When I was thinking about growing my YouTube channel, how can I do it? I thought to myself, all right, I will offer all of my videos on my podcast, which is called Listen, My Son. 12 people took me up on it. And that is where they repurpose my videos. You can't do more than 60 seconds, 30 to 60 seconds before YouTube hits you with a copyright strike. So you can actually utilize people's videos for your own channel and put your own affiliate links with the video. So you make the money when people click the links. I had 12 people do it. One guy is making a living doing it and is now a business partner of mine, Samuel, that you both met. He is going to crush it. And he's only
The Sultan of
19
Savage
years old.
himself.
The Sultan of Savage himself is crushing it. He actually has more followers using my video clips than I have.
Whippersnapper.
But here's the catch. He's got to tag me. So it helps grow my business and get exposure. So he takes the most savage clips that I have, stuff that's more controversial, stuff that I might have said tongue in cheek, stuff that I know is going to create a reaction in people and bring attention, because really attention is the modern currency. Money can't buy this.
Absolutely.
Attention is the most important thing. If people don't know who you are, there's no way you're going to make money. As Grant Cardone would say, if I don't know you, if people don't know you, they can't flow you. They can't flow their money to you.
Yeah.
And I think it's exciting. I'm happy, and I'm encouraging the heck out of Samuel, the Sultan of Savage.
So here's another tie-in for you.
Yeah.
Is I have yet another business that didn't really take off.
Mhm.
It was with a different partner to do social media and e-commerce for a brand we
Mhm.
made up. It's called shutupkaren.net. You all know
Karen.
Karen. You know what a Karen is. The
The
busybody. I want to talk to
Yeah,
the manager.
yeah. Of course.
So a previous partner of mine, he's technically still an owner in the business, but he ghosted.
Mhm.
He went viral on TikTok with some Karen videos that he took himself with a Karen he encountered. So we launched a brand around it. It's whatever. It's some
Wow.
e-commerce we're selling. And then it just went defunct. So I after seeing what the Sultan of Savage did, I offered him. I said, "Here, you want to take it over?" So we'll see where it goes.
I'm
So there's
telling
a
you,
new JV just created.
everybody in this audience has the potential to create a JV. Let me tell you what else a person can do if they don't have an existing business. You can find a person who has a business here and find a person who has a business here, and you be the connector. Bring them together. There's a joint venture. You are the connector. So now it's a three-way business, those three people. So if the only thing you can do is introduce people to each other, like every business, well, I've always said that usually marketing is the last thing that people think about. Hey, I want to start a donut shop. Great. Sounds like a great idea. Wow, what a business. That would be good. Everybody loves donuts, but they know nothing about marketing. They get together with a guy who loves marketing and donuts. Wow. Then there could be a match made in heaven there. There's a joint venture. So for my audience, Jonesy, what would you how would you encourage the audience to find a joint venture, create a joint venture? There's going to be those who say, I'm not qualified to do it. I've never done marketing. I have no idea. You know, you say to people say, I wish I could do something other than what I'm doing. I'm like, well, what do you want to do? I don't know. Well, what do you enjoy doing? I don't know. What would you tell those people,
So
Jonesy?
we're gonna talk to a group of people now, and when we get faced with this question individually of I don't know what I could do as a side hustle. I don't know what skills I bring, what my unique skill set is. And we ask them the questions. A, what Ken MacArthur always says, what do you want to do when you wake up in the morning? And
Mm-hmm.
B, what are people already paying you for? Or if not that, what are people going to you for? What are you known for? Simple as that.
Yes.
And list those skills.
Yes.
We can talk about that till we're blue in the face, as I think we pretty much bring that up on every episode.
Mm-hmm.
And then by leveraging those skills, there you can have your side hustle. Now, there's going to be missing pieces. You can't necessarily always run a business with that list of skills or that
Mm-hmm.
unique superpower. That's okay. You got to, find somebody else who does. Let's say you learned how to make a really killer sourdough bread during COVID, where everybody started making sourdough bread. Except now, like everybody who quit, you're still making it. People
Mm-hmm.
seem to like it. And you thought, yeah, I'd sell this. It's the type of thing
Mm-hmm.
where it's a monetized hobby that,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't not have fun doing it, because that's very important too. If you're going to monetize a hobby, make sure it's still something you're passionate about and want to do. So the
Yes.
side quest right there, side advice.
Yeah.
Partner up with somebody who's very good on social media. That's it. That's it. Because they already have some sort of acumen for marketing,
Mm-hmm.
and learn to grow together, bringing
I think
two
that's
complementary
fantastic.
skill sets together. Simple as that. I'm
Complementary
trying to
skill
give like
sets.
something that's very low barrier. Um, to I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an accountant. I don't know your state's rules about food selling and business licenses. However,
Mm-hmm.
you can start a cottage industry just with that. With, hey, I want
Mm-hmm.
to bake, but I don't want to sell. All right, find someone who wants to sell and
Mm-hmm.
likes your bread. There it is. There's a JV.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. Frank, what do you think? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm going to back up what Jonesy said, and all I'm going to say again is, you know, something as simple as bread can make you money. Like that's just crazy. Something like even do what you like to do. Like there's people that I know that their side hustle, I'm into trains, right? You guys know that. So
Mm-hmm.
I have a friend who's a teacher. His side hustle is buying and selling Lionel trains, that might be sitting down somebody's basement from 10, 20, 50 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And he sells them at these, you know, um, farmers markets. He sells them at memorabilia shows, and he sells them online. He bought a collection for, I think it was $8,000 or
Mm.
five. I just saw him 2 weeks ago. Either 5,000 or $8,000 for $11,000 worth of stuff. So at a
Wow.
minimum, after eBay fees and all, he'll make about $2,000 to $3,000. That's
Sure.
not bad for a teacher. That's going to get him through one of his months this summer, and that was only one time.
Mm.
I mean, that's ridiculous. You know what I mean? That is ridiculous.
Anything.
You make money with
Absolutely
anything.
anything.
And I think Jones, you said, one of you guys said it, you got to have money goggles. You have to have hustle. You have to see where opportunity is. And most of all, you have to get past your belief that you are not worth it or that you can't achieve this stuff. We've got a guy here, Samuel, 19 years old. Kid's going to be a millionaire by the time he's 23 or so.
Easily.
I mean,
Easily.
and I met him, great guy. He didn't have a halo over him or surrounding him or an entourage. He's
Yeah.
some dude at 19 that gets
Yeah.
it, and he believes in himself. He hasn't been beaten down enough and
Yep.
hard enough by the man to think
Mm-hmm.
that he can't do anything. Guy
As
can do
it
anything. He puts
should
his
be.
mind. Yeah,
As it should be.
exactly.
The three of us, when we level up, we hand down ladders and ropes and harnesses and pulleys to bring people up with us. And that's the difference between us and the corporate world, where they kick the ladder. They build the wall.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to crush anybody. I'm not interested in that.
No.
I don't want to burn bridges because you never know in the future. Like seriously, right now I can only think of about 2 bridges that I want to burn out of the 1,000 that I once thought of at one time, because you just never know. You never know. I don't want to be, what I don't want to do is I want to be accessible to people who have a change of heart, because most people, I would say most people, if you have a hard time with people, most of the time they will come back. They will apologize, or they will humble themselves, or enough time will have passed, and then you can work together.
Yeah,
That's what I have found.
a decent person will.
Yep. So you can do a joint venture with someone who has an idea. You can also do a joint venture with a company that has a lot of people,
Sure.
and they can pay you. There's no reason why it has to be, 3 common Joe Schmoes or 2 common Joe Schmoes. You can do a joint venture with a big company. For instance, if you go to, let's say, Tesla headquarters and their windows are dirty, offer to be their window washer or their lobby cleaner, and come up with a pitch that says, you know, the front door and the lobby and the mat that people walk on gives a first impression when they go to the front desk. Everything they see, every step they take. And I am a entrance expert. I just made that up. I'm an entrance expert. Helps people create good first impressions in the first 5 seconds. Wawa says they want to give people their best 90 seconds of the day. The average person is in a Wawa for 90 to 120 seconds, and they want to make it the best 90 seconds of the day. And you could use that as a pitch. When people enter this building, I want them to be, wow, this place is clean, this place is orderly. And who knows, you could be the entrance expert, because entrances make a difference. And when you make a difference, you can make money. So you might have 12 companies on a corporate row somewhere that want their entrances and vestibule and front desk area to be absolutely pristine and smelling good and having nice low classical music playing or something like that. So I just came up with a business idea. So what you do is you walk door to door and maybe clean their windows for free. Let me clean your windows for free, and then you have some suggestions and you leave a card, that type of thing. So there's a joint venture right there. I would ask people in the audience, if you have any ideas or questions about joint ventures, put them down in the comments. Please. And the 3 of us will look at those questions and comments and answer them personally. And if you have a question for Jonesy, address it to Jonesy. If you have a question for Frank Garin, then address it to Frank. Any other words about joint ventures?
Well, I would say an entrance experience expert is a way to phrase that as well.
Yeah.
That's a neat idea. You say, hey, listen, guys, first impression is the most important impression you make. I specialize in having the initial interface between the customer and your company go as smoothly and professionally as possible. This is how we're going to do it. A few more potted plants here, a water cooler here. That's something you can do with any company. I mean, that was a great idea.
And clean windows, and he has kind of like a cordless vacuum. Cordless vacuum. He comes in, he removes all fingerprints and waters the plants every Wednesday, that kind of thing. If the guy does 4 a day times 5 days, there's 20. And if he charges $100 for doing what he does, think about it. He's in that lobby, in that entrance area for an hour a week. You're done before lunch every day, and you are grossing $100,000 revenue every year.
That's not a bad gig. That is not a bad gig at all. And then he could do something else in the afternoon if he was really ambitious and retire by 30 or 40.
Well, my thoughts are hire someone to do that, and you sit back and you coordinate that and go and land another 20 clients. That kind of thing.
I like it. I like it. And again, you only have to have an idea. You don't even necessarily have to have assets to create a joint venture. Our assets that we brought to the table was our experience, our knowledge, and hopefully a modicum of good looks. What else did we bring? Nobody started this gig with $50,000 kicked into the pot, right, guys?
There was not a big investment except commitment and an idea and follow through. And basically, I've always said that faith, there's three components to faith. I have faith that Fire Your Boss can work. And the three components are mental assent, commitment, and follow through. And that is exactly what we're doing. And we actually completed that cycle within a week. We thought about it, we committed to it, and we followed through. And we said to ourselves, and we weren't saying, hey, this is going to make us rich. What we said was, we're going to do 12 episodes and then we're going to meet face to face and talk about it. And then after we did that, we thought, well, we can meet every 12 episodes. So that would end up being 4 times a year. That is not bad at all for a business that's going to make us a lot of money.
A lot, yes. And honest money, money you can be proud of, money you can feel good about because you're helping other people and provide value, which at every job you're at, can you ever say that? I mean, there's some jobs that I've worked at that, like, you know, I would have done things a little more differently, a little more honestly, you know? Your own gig, you have the choice of what you want. Your own JVs, you set the terms of how your company and yourself are going to behave.
Right.
I like that about a JV, or, you know, anything that we've talked about today, side hustle all the way up to a massive JV. That's another thing. You get to set the ethics. You get to build a business to your own personal companies and your own personal beliefs, you know, and values, I should say. And that's a gift too. I mean, you're a man. You're here to build things and conquer things and grow things and nurture things. Why shouldn't it be on your terms? Why does it have to be on some boss? And what is he? What are their qualifications? They were here before you, like, you know. I mean, some of my bosses I love, some of them I hated. Some of them I was like, how did this dude get in this job? He doesn't even know how to dispatch. And God rest this one guy's soul, and I'll leave it with that. But he used to send. We had 3 trucks. He would send 3 trucks to the same delivery place, and the 3 drivers are laughing. We're like, why don't you just put this on 1 truck, right? He's got 3 of us going. What if we had a 3-way collision? One of us ran a stop sign. The whole fleet would be gone. Right. You know what I mean? I'm like, what the hell, man? I mean, all right, it's 20 minutes from our warehouse, but surely it would have all fit in 1 truck. That's what I was working for. That's why I had to get my own business. Thank God for somebody that introduced me to something believable, possible, and doable. And thank God I had enough sense to believe in myself, even when other people didn't. Because the hardest person that you're going to have to work past is yourself. Because all the voices that say, you suck, you're stupid, why should it work for you? That's the real killer. Nobody else can hurt you or build you up better than you can yourself. And I'll leave it at that.
All right. Any final words? This is a quick hit on the topic of JV. Jonesy, final words.
You're good enough, you're smart enough, and doggone it, people like you.
Frank.
This is why I work with him, because he's just who he is. Hi, Mom, and keep up the good work, everybody. I believe in you. That's what I would say.
And for me, I would like to say to our audience that we want you to win. We are your biggest fans. You might feel that no one is behind you. Everybody thinks you're crazy. No one supports you, but we do. We are your biggest fans, and we want you to win. And we will see you on the next episode of Fire Your Boss.
Stuck in this corporate hellhole, ain't no way I'm gonna stay. The boss man's got his grip on me, but I'm about to break away. 9 to 5 just ain't my style. I need freedom to be my own. Gonna rise up from the ashes, gonna build a kingdom of my own. Tired of being just another cog in this machine. I wanna rise above the ashes. Show 'em what I truly mean. No more fear, no more fences. Gonna break